Hello and welcome to the Out of Town Podcast. I'm your host, Tova Khan. And one of my goals here on the Out of Town Podcast is to build bridges where there were none, to have conversations where there were none, and to show you that we are all more alike than we are different. And even when objectively we could not be farther apart, there's always something that we can learn and grow from when we hear from one another and we explore this wonderful world side by side. In this episode, you're going to hear from people who are living with either conditions or an illness that affects their day-to-day life, both in large and small ways. And with that, let's go there. Welcome once again to the Out of Town Podcast. It's great having you back.
Hello! I cannot believe it was actually like a year ago.
I know, it was about a year ago that I sat with this wonderful young woman, Rosie, then Halper-Rosenthal, now Chase. Now we live farther away from each other. If you don't mind introducing yourself and telling our audience what condition it is that you live with.
I'm Rosie Chase, and I grew up in Boston, born and raised, and I was Tova's boarder for a couple years, actually. It was so much fun. I was born with Usher syndrome. It's a genetic Ashkenazi type of mutation that causes hearing and vision loss. Progressive. So it just started around like my early teens and then just gets like slowly, steadily worse over time. I don't notice it so much just because it's so slow. So that is something I'm living with. Now I'm legally blind. I use a cane to walk around. I use hearing aids. I do kind of fall into the category of blind, low vision people with disabilities and everything, but Hashem, like I definitely try to live my life as normal as I can, testing the limits a little bit. That like I try to, maybe not on purpose, but kind of see how far I can go.
So yeah, I feel like you're competitive. You're a runner. Like you've got that little competitive edge. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and it's just so funny because I've always just done it myself and not worried about it, but my husband's so sweet about it. Like he's just like very protective and I know he like it's just so different now being married. Like that dynamic has really shifted a lot and I've really started thinking about, wow, this actually might be dangerous. Maybe shouldn't do it. I don't know.
I remember sitting and having this conversation with you as like someone who's single and dating.
Yeah.
And now we're having this conversation as a wife and like running a home, moving somewhere new.
Yeah. There's so much of a difference like in that respect. And I just remember actually when we were talking last time, I was in the middle of dating my husband and I was just like totally not saying anything. And then you asked about Shalesh and they were like, yeah, so. And we both knew what was going on. You did a great job with that, actually. It was great.
Hi, my name is Vivi, and I live with cerebral palsy, specifically right-sided spastic hemiparesis. I was born 7 weeks early. During my mom's pregnancy, she noticed that she wasn't feeling me move or kick, and she knew something wasn't right. She went to the hospital, and I was delivered by emergency C-section. Due to a lack of oxygen to my brain, I developed cerebral palsy. Growing up, I had multiple surgeries, years of therapies, and many challenges along the way. While cerebral palsy affects the way I use the right side of my body, it has never changed who I am or what I am capable of achieving.
Hi, Chaim.
Hey,
What's your name?
Chaim Kayman.
All right. I wanted to ask Chaim, what is the name of the medical condition that you live with?
CCHS.
And what does that stand for?
Congenital central hypoventilation syndrome.
Wow. And in your own words, what does that mean?
Like, my brain can't tell my lungs to breathe sometimes.
Hi, I'm Gita Weinberg. I live in Newton, and I have epilepsy. I was diagnosed about 20 years ago after I had a gastric bypass surgery. It started about 9 months after the surgery, and the doctors think that it was a result of like an immune response to the surgery, that my body was like fighting the surgery. Epilepsy was not a known side effect to this gastric bypass surgery. Other things were, but I had very bad reasons that I needed gastric bypass surgery, so I was told by many doctors to have it. So, like I said, 9 months, really to the day, I was driving to New York from Boston with my oldest daughter. We were going to a wedding, and as she recalls that day, I got very stressed in the car, which is the only aura I have. I get very stressed before I seize. And all of a sudden I started throwing things around in the car. She didn't know what was going on. And I got into a car accident because I had a seizure.
Wow.
And that was my first seizure.
And your daughter remembers this?
Oh, yeah.
How old was she?
She was probably about 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that was your first seizure
That
ever?
was my first seizure. And so the paramedics came and they took me to a hospital in New York. And I was told that I might have epilepsy. And my parents lived in New York at that time. So I went to their house to recover. And I was told to see a neurologist in Boston when I come home. And so I felt lucky that I lived in Boston and I had all the Harvard hospitals.
Right.
And so I had a pick of who I wanted to see. Life didn't go so easily after that, but we'll get into that.
So you had the gastric bypass surgery when you were already like married and a mom?
Yes, I had the gastric bypass. My husband said he didn't want me to have the gastric bypass until we were done having children. I was very heavy. I was about 300 pounds. I had diabetes at that point, and I had hypertension. I was on 4 different hypertensive meds.
Wow.
And my diabetes doctor said, you won't see 10 years unless you do something drastic about your weight. He was very sensitive and very wonderful, and also in the Jewish community. And he knew what this all involved. But again, no one knew about the epilepsy issue. So I went into the surgery thinking I was doing a great thing. When I came out of surgery, the hypertension was gone, the diabetes was gone, everything was gone.
Wow.
But 9 months later, I had epilepsy.
Wow.
Some discoveries change everything.
It is engaging, it's riveting, there is a definite mystery to it.
A man who found the truth.
What I heard that day literally changed my life.
A hero who saved the day.
He was a spotter for the mortar patrol, the Mirgamot.
A dreamer who set out to do the impossible.
The Lubavitcher Rebbe told him, you are doing the most important work in the world right now.
After a lifetime of searching, he uncovered one of history's best-kept secrets.
Archaeologists found what could be the world's oldest treasure map.
Initial tests, says Jones, indicate the authenticity of the powdery incense.
Thori, Chalbona, Lebanon, Moor, the Harcom.
His story was almost forgotten.
If I paid you $1 million,
I would not do it. If it's something that belongs to God and we're not supposed to be owners of it, then I believe that.
His discovery was dismissed by those who tried to stop him.
There's an academic war going on in Israel.
That's a huge psychological trip to plan somebody.
But the truth refused to stay buried.
This is the greatest find in 2,000 years.
Thank
you for safeguarding and keeping the Torah. Because if you wouldn't, when we from the nations wake up, it wouldn't be there.
This Tisha B'Av, join me on an epic journey as we uncover the history, the mystery, and the discovery of the Ketores.
השאלה אם מותר להריח את זה?
What is it like living with this condition? And as a wife, as someone who's, keeping a home, working, keeping busy, what is that like day to day?
Yeah. So back in Boston, I kind of pretty much took care of myself within having you guys also there, which is so wonderful. Okay, getting myself to places, I would do that for the most part. I would take public transportation everywhere. I knew where I was going. I was using my cane to get places, and I couldn't drive. That was the thing. I used to bike, but as my vision got worse, I did bump into a pedestrian once on my bike, and I was like, okay, I probably shouldn't do this anymore, But for the most part, I was okay on my own. Now, my husband has a car, so he drives me places. And also, I go with somebody to school. She oftentimes will go to the grocery store on the way home from school, and so I'll go with her. And so that's very helpful with shopping because I have to do a lot more shopping. Now, it's not just for me. It's things for our house. Before, I didn't have to buy tissues or paper towels, anything like that.
Being a boarder is very nice, okay?
Yeah. I go from home to work, back home, do my thing, cooking my dinner or whatever, or taking care of the house. I didn't realize I just kind of been in my own little space, and I haven't been using public transportation really. And it's just kind of whoa, I don't go into the city anymore. I don't need to go into the city for anything. Also, my husband has a car, so if I need to go somewhere, it's go in the car. But I also felt a little bit I lost my independence a bit. It's not because I needed somebody to drive me, it's just because it's kind of already there, so I was able to lean into it, and he's so encouraging with, let me take you there. Why should you take the train when I have a car, literally, and it will take you so much faster. And Baruch Hashem, that's the case. But also it's just wait, but where am I? Who am I? I don't go places on my own anymore. Yesterday,
everyone who knows Rosie knows that you are so independent. Do you think that this plays into the Usher syndrome, or is it just the way you've always been your entire life?
That's a good question, actually. I think so, partly because of the Ushers, and also just because the way that I grew up. When I was in, I'd say 7th grade, that's when I started taking the train into school. We lived in the suburbs, and then we'd have to take the train into the city. That was already at a young age. I was 13. And then now with the Ushers, I'm the only one in my family that has it. My parents didn't really know so much about it and know how to deal with it or anything. So it was just, I'm the only one. What do I do? Yeah, I think it's kind of both. When I started boarding by you, that was it. I was in the city. I had everything was at my fingertips. I could go wherever I wanted. It was great. Baruch Hashem. I really enjoy rowing, and in Philadelphia they have boathouse rows. So I went down there yesterday to check them out and see if I wanted which one I can join. I went early in the morning because that's when people are done from practice and I can talk to somebody, and it was so wonderful. And then I took the buses back, and it felt so great. I was just taking my time. I wasn't waiting for anybody. My husband was home with the dog. And I was just I felt like myself again.
There's something about that, the not waiting for other people. It's one of the beautiful things about being in a relationship, having a family. Beautiful. I'm going to quote Dr. Koslowitz. I feel like I'm always quoting this from her. But she says, self-care is the stuff that makes you feel like yourself. So it sounds like exactly what that was for you.
Yeah. It was I was myself again. It was so interesting because marriage is so different. I love it. But I also am still trying to figure out who I am, where do I fit in. So there's definitely a lot of that, who am I, and the Usher syndrome, how does that tie in now is there's a lot of things that I'm being told I can't do, or I shouldn't do, or be careful. Because Baruch Hashem, now there's people who are looking out for me, I'm married now, so somebody's caring about me. I mean, not that nobody did before, and especially you also. I wasn't necessarily living with somebody and directly impacting another person like that so closely. I could just do whatever I want. I'm not necessarily would somebody know if I was riding a bike and be hey, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. I had to figure out my own. I'm not sure if I'm feeling restricted a little bit or definitely very supported. But now it's wow, there's a lot of things that I really shouldn't be doing or really can't be doing or whatever.
That's hard. That's gotta be really hard, especially for someone like you who likes doing so many things.
Right.
I feel finding the ways for you to give yourself that permission to do the thing you love in a way that's safe, and fun is probably so important. You went running, you did rowing at 4 a.m, you'd be out of the house. row it. Like, you'd invite me to run. I'm like, it's not happening, you know? Like,
yes.
But for someone like you who loves the biking and the action, it sounds to me like, don't tell me I can't.
Yeah.
And it's something you love. It's like, imagine someone who's allergic to their favorite food. You've got to figure out how to make that food another way. Like, you got to do it. So.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because, like, I always imagine marrying somebody who will be running with me. So he's been so sweet, and he did run with me a couple times. And, like, he's very supportive of me doing my thing. But, yes, I feel like now my ushers has really come into focus a lot more when I'm married is because, first of all, being in conversation all the time with somebody now, like, if I need to communicate about something, I have to make sure that I'm in, like, within earshot of them.
Right. How does whispering work? Can you hear, like, the whispering pitch? Like, if someone wants to whisper something to you?
Yeah. I can hear them if it's quiet. That's the only sound in the room.
If it's the only sound.
Right. Right now, it's just the two of us in our apartment. Well, and our dog now. But that's also really exciting. But, yeah, I think it's also interesting because this is my first time living in an apartment building. I've always lived in a house. Here, it's, like, my first time just trying to be conscious of my noise level because other people can hear and like I can't hear how loud I'm talking. My husband's
You're
like,
saying that you're talking louder, you think?
Talk louder, yeah. I don't hear the noise from other people's apartments, so I assume like nobody can hear anything.
Right.
But it's just me. Like apparently, it's funny. The next door neighbors, we like went over to her, like I'm so sorry for making noise or whatever. It's like no, that's okay, whatever. She said like, just so you should know, the walls are pretty thin. Like, it's like, if you make a bracha, I could say amen. I have no idea
what like a warning. Oh my gosh.
She said it
I remember
like the nicest way.
Oh my gosh.
It was just really funny. Like, she said, if we say a bracha, like, it's loud enough that she can say amen.
Okay. You're like, I
got it. Embarrassing things she's heard.
So wait, I actually have a question, because you mentioned that you have a dog. So obviously we've spoken about this, but for our viewers, I just want to ask, is this dog specifically meant to be a dog that will help guide you or help you in, like, as a service dog?
Yeah, it's actually a very good question. He is not a service dog right now. He is just a regular dog. He's a mini Bernedoodle. So I know that for the most part, service dogs tend to be very breed specific just because of their traits that are good for specific tasks. So like a lot of service dogs will be like German Shepherds or Golden Retrievers just because they tend to learn quickly and bond with their handlers very well. They're very smart, like they're very sensitive. Recently they started using Labradoodles a lot just because they kind of have a lot of the qualities that the labs have and the Golden Retrievers have.
We have a Labradoodle. I'm like, how intelligent is Latte? We gotta work on her.
The intelligence and but also for like, you know, they're hypoallergenic, so that's good for people who are allergic. So I'm curious to know how much he can absorb on his own or, you know, things that I try to teach him. I think he would definitely be able to adapt to just living with me even the sense of like I trip over him a lot, which is I feel so bad, especially because he's a black dog. He doesn't resent me for it, which I'm really grateful for. I'm hoping he's going to learn on his own. I know that your dog was really good with that.
Yeah.
They would kind of just
kids have the same thing. Like a kid will trip over a dog or jump, you know. Yeah. So she got really good at getting out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know this lady Rebecca Alexander. She's a social media influencer.
Like, I follow her. Yeah.
Yeah, you saw her. She's great. Yeah. Actually, I met her.
She's a therapist as well. She's really cool.
Yeah, she does. She teaches spin and she's a psychotherapist or like some sort of thing like that. And Usher syndrome and. She has a dog, I forget what exact breed it is, but it's a mix of like a poodle and something else. Could be a Labradoodle, one of those, and she trained it in herself. So the problem is that apparently the failure rate for dogs that they don't train it themselves. Obviously, there are organizations that help you train your own dog. But apparently the failure rate for those are much higher than the regular service dog that goes through the training process. And also it tends to be way more expensive, which I'm not sure why. Like, it's your own dog, you think it could be cheaper. But apparently it's much more expensive and it's not so successful. I think I would have to look more into it. I feel like he can probably... I would want to work on a few things, but he does walk very nicely, like with me when I use my cane at night. I was really surprised, like he's so calm about it. Just took it in stride. I was like, oh, okay, like that's what she has. Crossing the street is something that I want to work on with him because sometimes I just don't see cars coming. They're like coming out of my peripheral vision and I don't have that.
Living with cerebral palsy impacts many parts of my daily life, but it has also shaped who I am. As a child, I spent a lot of time in therapy and often had to learn how to do things differently than my peers. There were definitely moments that were challenging, but I was incredibly fortunate to have amazing parents and siblings who always believed in me and encouraged me to keep trying. Their support and love played a huge role in helping me become the person I am today. As an adult living independently, I continue to adapt and find creative ways to accomplish everyday tasks. Some things take me longer, and some things require modifications, but I have learned that independence does not mean doing things exactly like everyone else. It means finding what works for you. I truly believe that I can do anything, just differently.
What is it like living with CCHS?
A little hard. Nothing really crazy.
Yeah? What's the hardest thing?
Like every time I the rush, I have to do this and that and that and this.
Well, you got a lot of extra things you got to do when you're rushing?
Yeah.
And that gets in your way a little bit?
Yeah.
What makes this condition life-threatening?
That like at like when I'm sleeping, my brain forgets to tell my lungs to breathe. So and then like my lungs will forget to breathe, and who knows what can happen.
At the beginning, I still worked. I was a nurse at Children's Hospital.
Oh, wow.
And I was having seizures here and there. At that time, I had all the 4 children, and I still took care of everyone and still did what a mommy did. But after every seizure, I would have to go into the hospital, be seen. When you have a seizure, usually the time period after the seizure, you're very sleepy, and you could be sleepy for an hour or you could be sleepy for 3 days. And with me, most of the time I was sleepy for 3 days, meaning if I'd be in the hospital because of the seizure, sometimes I would be on a cardiac monitor, all kinds of monitors, doctors in and out. It's called the post-ictal time. I would be unconscious, and my husband would be by my side and just waiting for me to wake up.
How old were you at that point?
I guess I was about 30, 34 when I was totally done. And I thank God that he gave me, or however you want to look at it, that I had the epilepsy once I had the children. Right. Because the big decision one of the big decisions in epilepsy is bearing children. And if you want to get pregnant while you have epilepsy, you have to then go off epilepsy meds.
Right.
And so that's a very big discussion in the epilepsy world. I didn't have to have that discussion. I needed other discussions, but I didn't have to have that discussion.
Right. And how did you feel? Like, how did that shift with your family outside of your husband and your children?
So it was very hard on my children. Mm-hmm. It was very hard. They would come home sometimes and find me unconscious on the floor. And they knew what to do. They would call 911. They knew what hospitals I needed to go to. They knew what doctors to call. They knew to call my husband. But sometimes they didn't know how long I was unconscious for. I was in a coma at one point. My second daughter found me when she came back from school. They didn't know if I went down right when she went to school or when she come home. It's very, so it's very hard. And so what ended up happening is the older 2, I have like almost like 2 families. I have Rachel and Rena, and then I have younger kids who are Maya and Avery. And it's almost like Rachel and Rena cared for Maya and Avery, because by the time I had Maya and Avery, I was much sicker with my epilepsy, and I couldn't do as much. there were a lot of outings I didn't go to. A lot of times I didn't go to shul. I became that sometimes like the absent mother. But when I felt good, here I am. I'm feeling good.
Right, thank God. But I have to say that you obviously fostered such beautiful connections with your children because your daughter moved in now and she was being so supportive of all the different things you wanted to do with you told me about your journaling and, becoming public with different parts of your life and how she really supported you in doing that.
Yes.
So that's beautiful. How do you foster that connection with your kids?
You have to be lucky.
You have to be lucky. Okay. Mothers, take note.
You have to be lucky. That it's hard. It's hard. Because also I had doctors in the Harvard hospital system, but at one point, one of my favorite doctors I had said to me, "You need a second opinion and you need to go into New York." And I went into New York and I had a wonderful from doctor. And New York has something that Boston, even though everyone thinks Boston is wonderful for everything, but Boston doesn't have what New York has. New York has something called an epilepsy center. It's called the Level 5 Center for Epilepsy, where in one building they have a neurosurgeon, a neurologist, an epilepsy specialist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist. Everybody's there specializing in epilepsy. And so once I went into New York, everybody realized I was better off with the epilepsy center. And so for much of my epilepsy life, I would say for probably 12 to 20 years, I was going into New York monthly, if not more, to see my doctors there. I needed some surgeries, and it was all done in New York. So it was hard on my family because they didn't have me being in New York. I mean, the doctors were wonderful to me, but I would also be hospitalized without having any visitors.
Right.
Bikur Cholim, of course, would come and see me, but I would be there alone. Sometimes my doctor would call Herb and say, you need to come down.
And your husband would just hop in a car and drive over?
In a train. Yeah, and get there. Sometimes, the doctor would say, you don't even pack a bag. You need to get here. Wow. And he would get all his clothing at Walmart in New York City. That's just what it has to be. And I've had 3 brain surgeries, and they were all done in New York.
Did you ever consider moving the family to New York for that?
No, because of my husband's job. I at this point wasn't working.
Right.
And so my husband needed to keep us afloat. Yeah. And the Newton community was so supportive of us. Right. We had meals coming all the time. My kids were cared for. We didn't have to worry, where are our kids after school? I knew someone was taking them. I didn't know who necessarily. My in-laws lived here. So, they would take care of them. I got very sick one year, the day before my oldest was going to Israel. And she decided she didn't know if she should go to Israel because I was so sick. And the community of women came to her and said, no, your mother would want you to go. And they helped her pack and they bought things for her. Yeah. And so how do you leave that?
Right. You can't leave that. People pray for that. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful that the community here really showed up for you like that. Oh my goodness, there's something really special about the Boston and neighboring communities in general. So I'm not surprised, but I'm so touched and moved by that.
Yeah.
Wow. So you also have family in New York, though. Were they available to you when you were going back and forth?
The only family I had is my second daughter, Rena, was living in New York because she was going to Stern. So yeah, she came to the hospital every day.
Wow.
And, you know, brought me coffee every day.
Okay.
And I have some friends that heard that I was in the hospital having another seizure, and they would come to the hospital. But they also have their own family and large families, and they can't, you know, you can't expect them to stay at the hospital. And like over Shabbos, I'd be in the hospital and I was there alone. But being a constant person at the hospital, I made friends with the rabbi. Wow. And so he would always come by on Shabbos and sing songs to me and brought me little chocolates. And so I looked forward to his visit on Shabbos.
Wow. That's really special. You were able to make that connection. I'm assuming it was a big place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So then let's backtrack for a second. Is there any kind of side effects that you would want to share that have really impacted, like specifically that we didn't speak about yet?
Oh, well, I have a lot of side effects. I have chronic nausea. I don't have vomiting, but I have chronic nausea, so I'm on Zofran, like chemotherapy patients get. I've had 3 brain surgeries, so when I fall during a seizure, it's very, for me, if I'm unconscious, it's very, very scary if I've hit my head because it can cause a lot of damage. So if people find me, they should almost cradle my head and wait for the EMS. And if you saw me hit my head, tell the EMS she hit her head, because then they do extra testing in the hospital. And that's always my fear. It's better for me to seize in my bed than falling from my bed to the floor.
Right. I think in first aid, they mention this. If somebody's having a seizure, make sure their head is safe.
Right.
Tilt them to the side in case they vomit.
Right.
Things like that to help keep people safe. So that's really important to keep in mind. In reference to like how people regard you and how you feel that, is there things that you appreciate that people say or you don't appreciate that people say? Like in that way, how people can, be better armed to how to relate to people who are going through something.
I think because I've had it for so long, people kind of put me on the side. Like, oh, she's fine. She just has epilepsy. And now I have diabetes. Oh, she's fine. She's fine. She's fine. Oh, she's in the hospital again. Oh, just another time. But it's not another time. It could be my last seizure,
Do you prefer if people ask questions or just treat you normal?
No, I prefer if people ask.
You do?
Yes.
I mean, I know I like asking questions. I wasn't sure if it was just me that you were okay with it because I like to understand what people are going through. I want you to feel seen. It is always a pleasure to introduce my sponsor, okclarity.com, because they are leaders in the world of mental health and wellness for the greater Jewish world globally. Whether you're looking for a psychologist, psychiatrist, nutritionist, coach, you name it, it is listed there for you to find it. There's also a community that you can join on WhatsApp and on Instagram. Make sure you're following along. And if you are a mental health or wellness provider, make sure you're listed on this website so that people can find you. I know that I'm recommending okclarity.com constantly to friends and family who are in need of any service or support. So what are you waiting for? Go check it out. Link below. What are different tools that you use day to day to make your life easier and to help you just navigate your world?
Yeah.
On a daily basis, yeah.
Okay, so I would say definitely something that, like, there's, you know, I use, like, my cane, actually. I can show it to you. Right now it's folded up, but
and it folds.
It folds. It's, like, funny, because people always ask me, like, what are you holding? Because it just looks like a bunch of sticks held together, but it's,
right.
You just kind of, like, unfold it. And then it has, like, this, it's called the white cane because, you know, it has, like, the white part there with the red tip at the end to distinguish it, like it's a blind person cane. And then it has, like, the ball, like the roller ball here, so that it, like, slides side to side much easier and can find things sidewalk. So I think for me, the cane, I did actually take orientation and mobility lessons with an instructor.
I remember I got to see your instructor. He met you by the house
yes.
a couple times.
Yeah, so he taught me, he gave me, like, a bunch of skills to use it. I'm not, like, amazing at it, especially when it's, like, I can use it, like, during the day, no problem. When it's at night, I do have to walk a lot slower, though. Just because, like, now I'm actually relying on totally on the cane. Like, I don't see anything. It's, like, completely dark. So my sense of direction when I can't see anything is kind of off, which is where the cane comes into use, where it's just, like, it's bumping into things and kind of warning me a little bit ahead of time before I actually bump into it myself that there's something on the road. Also, the vibrations are definitely, like, they make a different sound and they feel different when I'm walking on pavement versus grass. I can tell when I'm drifting, things like that. The other thing is that it's really helpful for letting other people know that I'm blind. So, like, that's a huge part of it, so that even in the daytime where I can see a lot of things and, like, I don't necessarily need it to navigate so well, but it lets other people know that I'm blind. So it makes me more forgivable when I'm crossing the street and, like, I'll be walking, like, I'll look side to side, there's no cars, and all of a sudden, like, I'm in the middle of the street, and, like, there's a car just, like, magically appeared there. It wasn't there before, it wasn't even 500 feet away. It's just that I didn't see it. But when I'm using my cane, like, people can recognize that, and they'll be able to understand, like, oh, okay, like, maybe wait for her, or move out of her way, or something like that. Or people will offer to help me with, which is really nice, too. Which is something in and of itself, I'm, like, come to terms with, like, if somebody offers to help me cross the street or whatever, usually, like, I'm fine. I can cross the street by myself usually, but, like, sometimes they just want to help. I'm like, okay. I think I actually had this conversation with you. Maybe it was in the previous episode or it was just, like, just the two of us ourselves. So we were saying, like, I'm not responsible for, like, making other people feel comfortable about it or something like that. Like,
for this?
So, it's true. I don't have to, like, if they're uncomfortable whether or not to offer to help, like, that's on them. I understand that. But it's just, like, if they offer to help, like, hey, I don't mind. Like,
but that's amazing, because at one point, that was hard, hard, right?
Yeah, I remember that. I'm like, no, I want to do it myself.
Right.
Now I'm just like, if they offer, I'll say sure, like, thank you so much. No skin on my back if they feel good, like, that's so great. And, like, it just, people like helping other people, so if they have the opportunity, that is good. And, like, sometimes, like, I actually do need it, like, especially if it's, like, dark or whatever, like, if I'm looking for the bus stop and I can't totally figure it out, people will see me walking with the cane and be like, can I help you find something or whatever. So that is actually helpful. So that's I think for me, a big piece of the cane is also letting
I'm glad to hear people notice what's around them enough to say, hey, do you need help? I'm just impressed enough. Do you ever have to, like, ask out loud, like, can someone just help me for a minute?
I think I'm not there yet. Right. Even if I do need help, I think I'm still a little bit nervous to ask.
Okay, I hear that.
No, it's a good question. I was on the bus yesterday, and it wasn't full. There were seats, but, like, I was clearly the only one. Like, I was walking down that, and my eyes were still adjusting, so I couldn't really see so well. So I didn't want to just, like, sit down on somebody's lap by accident. So I just decided to. I'd done it before. I actually accidentally, like, jabbed my cane into somebody's back today. Like, it was weird because I just totally didn't see them. But I basically just, like, took the time to walk down the aisle of the bus, so, like, that would, in that time, my eyes could adjust, and then I would sit down. But, like, the bus was already moving, and I was standing there with my cane, and, like, nobody offered to help. I was just like, okay, like, I was okay in that instant, but, like, wow, like,
that's,
it's
like,
interesting.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, I didn't feel, like, horribly offended. Nobody helped me. It was just like, wait, but you see somebody who clearly has, like, some sort of disability. I don't know.
Right.
So that was interesting. I guess it's, like, sometimes I'm blown away. Like, one time there was somebody that, like, just let me go first in line. Like, I was waiting in line behind somebody who had a couple of things, like, one or two things, and I had, like, a whole handful of stuff in my cane, and they told me to go first. It would have taken them a lot quicker, but they were just being very nice about it. So sometimes people are nice, sometimes Maybe they just don't know or they're uncomfortable.
Right.
Which is why I like it when people do ask, and then at least I can kind of.
Yeah. I remember, you just reminded me of an unfortunate story we once had together. Do you remember we went to the supermarket late one night?
Yes! And you were so good!
My God. I don't say anything. I was so mad. The manager locked. We basically used your disability parking pass, right? So we went to the store and we parked in that special spot right outside the door where it's most lit.
Yeah.
And then we check out and they locked the door on us a half hour early. And they were like, no, walk around. I'm like, but you see, I'm like, this is not okay.
You really spoke up and you were just like trying to be like, come on, like your store is still open. You have a responsibility here.
This is your responsibility. There's actually someone in that spot that's marked disabled that's here. Unlock the door. They wouldn't do it. They did Star Market on Com Ave. Do better. That was an unfortunate situation, but for the most part, like you've shared so many beautiful stories of people who kind of notice, and like you see the kindness and the tenderness of humanity sometimes. And I'm like so touched for you that people notice. But I still remember when you started using the cane more at night. I remember when you first moved in, I don't even remember what tools you were using. I remember the cane kind of got like slowly, like you started using it. What else did you start? It was in like when you were around 20, 21.
Yeah.
You started integrating more things.
Yes. And I think I actually have to thank a good friend of mine. She had given me this Jewish newspaper in Boston, and they published an article about somebody who was running the Boston Marathon to raise funds with Usher syndrome. And she gave this to me when it was like a couple months after I moved in. It was about Usher's, and I was like, and I was thinking, wow, like this is actually very cool. Apparently more people have it in my area that I didn't know. And so I decided to go back to my retina specialist because I had gone to him like in 2016, and that's when I got diagnosed, and he told me to come back in a couple years to monitor it. But then I went to seminary and I kind of just like forgot about it. It wasn't so bad then. And then I think once she sent me that article, I was thinking to myself, like, it's actually a real thing. People here have it, and the Usher Syndrome Society is actually based in Massachusetts by these people, and I'm forgetting their last name now, but yeah, they have 2 daughters that have it. And so, also Jewish, like it's an Ashkenaz. The one that I have, at least, is an Ashkenazi mutation. And so I went back to a retina specialist and followed up and got like a better idea of what it was that I was living with. And that was when he told me I was legally blind, and then he referred me to like the low vision.
What was it like for you when he just like said that to you? Like you had kind of locked it out for so long.
Yes.
What was that like?
That was like that moment. So when he told me that I had Usher's, and like I didn't really understand what it meant. I was 15, 16, like, you know, where nothing can harm us, we're good. And then, and I thought like, yeah, maybe that will happen. 50, like maybe, I'm not really sure. And then when he told me that I was legally blind, like I was when I made an appointment and everything, and it's hard to get an appointment with him just because he sees people like internationally and everything. But when I did get to see him and he told me that I was legally blind, that was like, whoa, like it's actually happening and it's not so far off, and I'm living with this right now, and I was shocked. And like, yeah,
is that the visit that Deanie came?
Yes.
Wow.
I think that's what it was. Yes. It's so funny that you remember that.
It was good that you prepared. You like your sister came along with you.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I had gone to him, it was an all-day thing. Me and my father went to Mass Pioneer, and like they did all the tests and the blood tests. And it took actually the entire day, and so that's why I wanted somebody like be. And I remember like they had to patch my eyes for half an hour and be like just to get used to like the darkness, so that they can test my night vision and everything. It was just a lot, and they put like these like contacts on my eyes that were attached to like it was a lot. So that's why I wanted somebody to come with me.
So it's nice to have.
And the appointment itself was okay. It was just like finding that out. It was a lot more real then, because it wasn't just something that was maybe or maybe not happening. It was happening. You could see like there were like you could see ramifications. Like you could see on the test how the different photoreceptors or whatever, how they map it out, got a lot smaller. And what it means for me is like, okay, now I'm actually not allowed to drive. I mean, before I'm like, yeah, probably I shouldn't be driving. It wasn't safe anymore, but I didn't actually know that I wasn't allowed to drive. And like now knowing that I qualify for all these like low vision and everything like that was just, wow, I'm actually a blind person. So
new identity was handed to you. Like a new reality, a new identity.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, even a couple years later, I'm just doing my own thing. It kind of still sat in the back of my head, but just like not really there. Because like I was still able to do all the same things. It was just now that I had the knowledge of it. But I remember thinking like, if it became part of my identity, it was like, yeah, I have this thing, but I can do all these other things. And it kind of like, oh, I'm known as like the person with the cane who's also doing like all these, like the way that you talked about it really made me feel so unique and special. I was like, that's so cool. And I remember thinking like, if they find a cure for it, would I be jumping to get it? I probably would. Like I definitely want to be able to see things normally again. I want to be able to see colors again. And I mean, like I can see colors, but like to be able to actually like, tell them apart and know what things are and be able to drive and see the stars and all the things. But then I'm just gonna be a regular person. Like it's so interesting. Like something like I feel like I'm gonna lose a little. I don't know. It definitely became a big part of me. And now like that is like coming back, but it's not like, now I'm figuring out how to like deal with like the whole, right, I'm blind and like I have to take care of it and all these other things, and also be able to like embrace it and still do the things that I want to, even within like the framework of marriage, where now I'm taking care of a house and, you know, ready to show a family one day. What's that going to look like?
Right. And it's always
so
changing
it's not just
because it's like a progressive thing. So there's like probably these little shifts that suddenly big things need to change.
Yeah.
But like as time goes on.
Absolutely. Yeah, even like now I'm thinking, does that mean I can't walk my dog by myself at night just because, you know, if he goes to the bathroom, like I can't find it anymore?
Right.
Like I can just leave it there. I actually have this headlamp that like I got a long time ago, and I
recognize that.
Yeah, I remember. So I do use it as helpful at night when I'm walking him,
And it's a flashlight? Like there's like a switch on it? Do you have to charge it?
Yeah, so it's like a battery operated thing. This is like one of the really bright ones.
It's really bright.
Goes really far. So yeah, and we just got him a reflective, like bright yellow doggy vest. So it's very helpful for me because he's black. I'm never gonna find him in the dark if I'm walking him.
And what about the hearing aids? Like, were you wearing hearing aids when you moved in already?
Yes, I think I had just recently gotten them. What happened was it was actually during COVID because that's when everybody's wearing masks.
Wow.
And it was just, it got so much because you're wearing a mask, so I can't lip read. Like, I anyways can't, like, officially lip read, but, like, it's definitely easier to make out what people are saying when I can, like, see their face.
Right.
So, like, the mask is blocking their mouth. I can't see them, and also it just muffles it a lot more. So it's just kind of like a double whammy. I cannot hear anything they were saying. So that was when I just decided to go for it, and my sister also has hearing loss, like a different kind. But so she told me about her doctor, also at Mass Eye in here. So I met with the audiologist there, and I just got fitted for hearing aids. You actually, like, people can't see.
You can't see them, like, at all.
You can't see them.
Like, you literally can't see them. They're tiny. I would get so nervous when they were charging in the bathroom. I would tell my kids, you cannot go in there. They're so small.
So, yeah, they have, like, this is, like, the little microphone, and then it kind of, like, there's, like, a hole in it that receives the noise. It goes through the wire thingy, and then it comes out into this little sound, but that part sits in my ear.
So it's like the speaker is in your ear.
Which is actually helpful because when it gets really loud, like at weddings and things, I don't know how people do it. So I can't hear well, but I'm still pretty sensitive to sound in the sense of, like, either things are too quiet or too loud. Like, if it's so loud, I can't necessarily hear what you're saying, but it's also just very overwhelming. It's kind of the same with my vision, actually. Either things are, like, too dark or too bright. Like, it doesn't have a way of regulating. I'm not sure why that works, like, why that is. I think it's just, like, part of whatever the Usher is doing. But with the sound, like, things are very loud, so I just kind of, like, turn my hearing aids down, like, all the way, and then, and then I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I saw a meme somewhere. It's just, like, just gonna turn it off. Like, you're not worth my battery life.
You're not worth the battery life.
Something like that. It was just really funny. So people can't really see. But when I'm talking to people and I'm trying to, like, navigate my way, like, I can't find this in the store or whatever, like, things like that, I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing. Like, thank God, like, I've just gotten so much better at kind of, like, advocating for myself, being like, I'm so sorry, I'm, like, vision impaired, I'm hard of hearing, we're just gonna, like, lay it all out there so that.
Because I remember when you moved in and this was all so new.
Yeah.
And, like,
knowing what you actually needed or not needed yet. I don't know. I'm sure I overstepped, with like what I thought.
I was just gonna say, by the way, I think I was in the, like, Hashem arranges everything. He put me in such a perfect position because that was really what, you gave me that space to kind of just do what I needed to do. In the sense of, you need an O&M instructor to come down, like, sure, no problem, like, you can practice. Like, I think they send somebody to come, like, check out the house, like, your house, to like, figure out how to make it more accessible, or, like, how to navigate things a little bit better. And he might have even spoken to you, I'm not even sure, because you kind of, like, you just gave me that space to do what I needed, and to kind of, like, explore, and whatever, sure, you need to take care of something, here's all these ideas, and I think you gave me some ideas for different organizations or connecting with different people. You told me about BD Diet, who's like, which is more related to running, but like a lot of these different people that you were telling me about. But also, you were cultivated that like identity part, and just kind of the way the way that you talk, and this is why like I was like, you should do a podcast or like figure out some way of like
You're
sharing.
so supportive. I'm like, oh.
I mean, I know you heard it from a lot of other people. It wasn't just me, but it was like, that was something about the way that you you give over like so much. It's like part of your artistic thing. It's just such a very unique take on things, and really like opened up this whole thing to me about like, it's not just, okay, you're dealing with something like, okay, do what you need to do, but it's also like, this is what Hashem gave you, and this is what part of you, and this is what makes you special, and like, so at the same time of giving me that space to kind of figure it out myself, also just like gently just like kind of push me in the direction of just like maybe think about it in a cool new way, and that was really cool. I think that you played such an integral part of like how I became who I am, and those years, it was just, those were my growing years, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I just felt bad. I remember recommending, let's say, wearing the light or using the cane on Shabbos, and you don't use the Erev on Shabbos. And I felt really guilty afterward, like I was telling you something uncomfortable. But I also got like worried about you. I was like,
you were absolutely perfect, and you were wonderful. I mean, you were in that exact like balance between letting me kind of test things out and try things out, but also kind of encouraging like the
you're so nice.
Yeah,
so
no,
nice.
And also like when telling your kid, getting your kids kind of conditioned to think about other people. I remember like Esther just warning me about things that were on the stairs, and she was holding my hand and guiding me around. It was so sweet, and she was
made that feel special too. It really did, like having you there. Like, you're not forgetting it anytime soon. They talk about you all the time. It was such a big part of their growing up.
She calls me Esther, and I have so many things to talk about.
I know.
I have like all the exciting things that they're doing. It's so cute.
The pretend big sister.
I use a variety of adaptive tools and techniques in my everyday life. Some of the tools I use include button hooks for clothing, adaptive kitchen tools, non-slip mats, jar openers, magnetic accessories, and custom orthotics. I have also developed many of my own strategies over the years for cooking, getting dressed, cleaning, driving, and managing household tasks. One of the reasons I share so much of my life on social media is because I want people to see that there are so many ways to adapt and be independent. Sometimes it is not about having the perfect tool. It is about being creative and finding what works for your body.
I have a suction machine, a breathing machine, oximeter, pulse oximeter, pacers, and I think that's all.
And you think that's all?
Yeah.
And what's in your backpack? I see you're wearing a very cool backpack.
Thank you.
What's this machine called?
Pacers.
That's a pacer. Is that the diaphragm pacers?
Yeah, diaphragm pacers.
And what does this machine do for you?
It kind of like shocks my lungs to breathe.
Wow. And is that attached right now?
This is attached to my stomach.
It's attached to your stomach?
Yeah.
And is it heavy to carry it around?
A little.
And I saw you running around before, so it's not getting in your way when you're running too much?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I would say something that's maybe a tool or a service that helps you like day to day to make your life easier as someone who has epilepsy.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
There are days that are very hard.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of doctor's appointments. I have a lot of doctors involved in my care. It upsets me that I can't drive. It upsets me that I can't work anymore. I was a nurse for 25 years at Children's. I can't work anymore as a nurse. Cognitively, I have slowed down, almost like someone with dementia would be, from all the seizures and all the medications. It's very upsetting. That I'll be truthful. It's a very hard disease to live with, especially that I don't have an aura. An aura is a feeling you get before you seize. So an aura would be, oh, my left arm is trembling. I'm about to have a seizure. So I'll go lie down and I won't fall on
like
my
a
head.
Heads up.
Right.
To just know that you need to.
Right.
Okay.
The problem is I don't get an aura. So that's why I don't drive. There's a law in Massachusetts. If you've had a seizure within 6 months, you can't drive. So I've had seizures in 6 months, so I can't drive. But I could go to the shopping store. It happened. I was at Star Market and I was online, and Herb looked at me and said, something's about to happen to you. And I said, what? And all of a sudden I fell and I seized and I had a grand mal seizure. A grand mal seizure just means it's one of those seizures that you see on TV where your arms and legs are flailing all over and you're unconscious. And it's terrible because I had no realization that it was coming on. So someone else might that day might have woken up and said, something's not right. I'm just going to stay home today.
Right. And I see that you have this cute, adorable puppy. Is that of anything to do? Is he trained to help you in any way?
Well, he's not trained.
Okay.
I actually tried to get a seizure dog. And after waiting several years and paying a lot of money, I went up to, I think in Pennsylvania, to get the dog. But even in Pennsylvania, I had seizures. And they told me that I was too sick to take care of a seizure dog.
Even though you have a whole family that I'm sure would love the dog.
But it's me taking care of the dog. This dog is considered an anxiety dog, but there's actually a law in Massachusetts that if you have a dog that is close to you and you go to the hospital and he won't leave your side, the law is that the dog can go with you to the hospital. Wow. He can be in the hospital everywhere except for the recovery room. And it has happened that I was taken once in the ambulance and he wouldn't leave my side. So Herb called the hospital and said, what am I supposed to do? And they said, bring him along.
Just take him along for the ride.
And he did. And he came and he lied on my bed. And the feeling is that it lowers my blood pressure, it lowers your heart rate, it calms you down if he's next to you.
I mean, he's just laying there being so sweet. It is calming. He's just like... So yeah, I had heard about the seizure trained dogs.
Yes.
But that didn't work out.
No.
Oh, that would have been a nice little mechanism.
It would have, but it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yes.
Wow. And it was interesting that your husband kind of sensed it before you did. So that was also interesting.
The kids kind of sense when I'm having a bad day. Like I'll come down to the kitchen and make myself orange juice. And they'll say, Mom, go upstairs to your bed. And I'm like, I'm fine. They're like, no, something's going on. You're not right.
They can tell.
They seem to think that I get stressed and that's my aura. And so I'll just start moving things around and doing things and that's my aura.
Wow.
But
is there
no,
anything you do to lift, like when it does feel heavy? Because there's no way that it doesn't. There's no way that it doesn't. So what is it that really helps lift your spirits as you like keep marching through? Because you're obviously a fighter. I mean, there's no denying it. Like the times your husband ran in, those came and went.
So I'm a big Tehillim reader, and I now try to watch TV. Now I'm in the midst of having cataract surgery, so I could kind of see the TV. But I can't read books really well because cognitively I just can't concentrate. And I dote on my grandchildren. I dote on my children. That's really it.
There's nothing like the grandchildren. Someone I know called her grandkids baby Prozac when she was going through something. Like, just hand me the baby Prozac. Because it really, there's something about that energy. Now you get to, isn't there?
Yes.
A little one?
A little one. He lives here.
How nice. Is it? Also a redhead?
He is a redhead.
Oh, so cute.
What strengths or insights have you gained?
Definitely advocating for myself. And that was something that really was something that you kind of mentioned a lot. Like, don't be afraid to ask. Don't worry about stepping on people's toes. Like, ask for yourself. And, you're totally just as valid as anybody else. I really have gotten so much better about, because I've always just kind of like been that timid, like, I don't want to bother anybody else, just kind of try. So I still am very independent, and that's something I guess I've always done, but also learning to just ask. And that's really gotten very far, I've found. Still something I'm working on, I've definitely gotten a lot better, is not worrying about what other people are going to think. Because I feel like, especially in the film community, I was very nervous to start using my cane and judge and like, never like this person, But just like, I think you were especially like talking about, if you explain it to people like to know about it, and kids ask about it, like tell them what it is, and like just the way that you've explained it to your kids, and they thought it was really cool, and that really helped me. I remember at show, like, there was also like a bunch of boys out there wanting that, and I was able to just tap into that and be like, oh yeah, this is how much that made me, and showing them how it was, and like making it all really cool. And so talking about it and making it a lot more in the open has definitely made me feel a lot less conscious about it. So that's been very helpful. And I would say also, I think like being down the hospice, understanding that there's so many other stories behind the scenes that we just don't know about. That like, because sometimes my disability is not so visible if I'm not using my cane or whatever. People don't know. There's so many ways to take it out of context.
4. Living with cerebral palsy has taught me resilience, patience, creativity, and determination. It has taught me how to advocate for myself and how to celebrate accomplishments that others may take for granted. I have learned that asking for help does not make you less independent, and that doing something differently does not make you less capable. Having a disability has also given me a deep sense of empathy and appreciation for the challenges that other people face. One of my greatest strengths is that I do not give up easily. If there is something I want to do, I will work hard to figure out a way to do it.
I started showing everybody has something that they're dealing with, not necessarily medical related. It could be anything. It could be like with relationships or mental health or like financial stuff or whatever. But there's so many other things that you wouldn't even like think about. You take people who take things for granted. You would never know that it's an issue for somebody else. And so just trying to be a little bit more patient with people, trying to understand like you don't necessarily know the backstory, but just being there and trying to be a little bit kinder to others.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for coming back on.
Thank you. This is so fun because like it helped me kind of reflect on like that before and after.
Yeah.
The message I would most like to share is that disability does not define a person's worth, potential, or happiness. People with disabilities can live full, meaningful, successful, and joyful lives. We may do things differently, but different does not mean less. I also want families and individuals living with disabilities to know that they are not alone. Looking back, I never would have imagined that I would be sharing my story publicly and connecting with so many people around the world. but it has become one of the greatest blessings in my life. If there is one thing I hope people take away from my story, it is that challenges do not have to limit your dreams. As I always say, I can do anything, just differently.
Thank you, Usher, for letting me live.
Yeah, that's a pretty good message. I'm so happy that you were willing to come on my podcast and share that with everybody.
You're welcome.
So before we were talking with your mother, and I remember we were talking about how grateful we are for every breath we have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that another message that maybe you want to share with everybody?
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Chaim is my cousin, and he's very cute. And he was so nice and so helpful and showed us everything that we needed for the podcast, and we're very appreciative.
My message is epilepsy is a disease, just like cancer is a disease, but we don't talk about epilepsy like we talk about cancer. Epilepsy needs research money, just like cancer needs research money. Epilepsy has a hard time on a family. Epilepsy has a lot of side effects that I haven't spoken about. And it's very hard on the family. It's very, very hard, especially, let's say, like me, it's the mother who's in the hospital half the time. I know when people find out I have epilepsy, they kind of shy away from either being my friend or talking about it or, here and there. They rather just cook a meal. Sometimes I rather someone call me or come over and visit than cook a meal. Because like my husband can go to the butchery and get a meal. But because I've stayed in the house a lot, I need friends more.
Friends are very underrated in general for Jewish married moms. All the more so for someone who's going through something. People shouldn't shy away. They should take that extra effort to be present. That's such an important message. I know we've been, in my own personal life, I've been talking with people about the importance of friends. And this really drives that home. Make yourself a little uncomfortable. It's worth it because a powerful friendship can emerge. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy that you sat and spoke with me. I know when we were talking back at my place, you mentioned how, there's certain challenges or illnesses that people go through and they can come out the other side and say, I'm ready to sit and talk to a podcast because now it's over. And then what about the voices for people who are in it? And I thought that was so powerful because that's going to be relatable to people with so many different things in so many different ways, because people who are still living with something, they also want to feel seen. They also want their truth to be acknowledged. And the way you talked about how you're still going through it and people kind of make it sound like it's in the past reminds me a little bit of how, I've heard soldiers' wives from Israel talk post-war, some of their husbands are still at risk, where they're stationed, and they're but no one's asking anymore. Right. Nobody's helping anymore. And that also really hit in a deep place. Just because we heard about it a long time ago doesn't make the situation less. Right. It still needs the same support. It still needs the same inspiration. And so I found that to be very powerful, and I wanted to share it with everybody because it's beautiful and it's an important lesson for everybody, and it's such an important connection for people who are in the same boat in their own unique way. So thank you. Thank you so much. If you're comfortable answering, because we were talking about shidduchim, do you mind just sharing how you met your husband?
I met him at the Rebbitzin retreat.
Go Ur Shabbaton.
Yep, the Ur Shabbaton. That was so much fun. I highly recommend. I mean, of course, because I met somebody from there, but even when I hadn't known it was going to work out, it was so great. It was so well run. It was Lag BaOmer last year. I met him, and that Shabbat, or that weekend, actually, I had gone to disabilities, a singles event. So I went from upstate New York, and then Sunday morning we left the zone, and then that Sunday evening for people with medical disabilities. And I actually met somebody there as well. Kind of had like a similar, he's got some sort of hearing or something like that. I had these two guys. I don't know which one to go with. I spent a couple hours with Baruch, who like my husband now, and it was just interesting because I was like, this is totally not going to work. Why would he marry somebody that doesn't have it, that has a hearing and like vision disability, and he doesn't have any of that? If somebody has like some sort of medical thing, it's nice. People are much more like-minded. I remember dating somebody who had retinitis pigmentosa, like a similar thing, eye condition as me, and it was so hard. It was so hard to see somebody who was walking around with a cane and like a lot less mobile than I was. Is that what I look like? I don't know. And so that opened up a little bit about me of just like, I hope I'm not like that shallow. I don't know.
It's a personality. It's your energy. It's everything about you is like you're active person. Like there's no way that would be you, you know?
Yeah. Oh, hey, they want to know how we met. Hi. Those two paintings up on the wall there were like how we met. That was the paint night that like we got to know each other and we each made our own side of it. And I'm like, I don't know if this is actually going to work out, but I'll keep the painting. And it was so nice. And now we have
You have it. I love that.
Yeah.
And, you know, you were saying a moment ago that you weren't sure because of like what you deal with and, you know,
right,
who you would meet or whatever. And I'm like, you
right.
radiate so much love and joy. Like, of course you're going to attract the best. You know what I mean? That's just who you are. So like, you don't have to worry about that. Look at that.
Thank you so much. And it really like helped me realize there is actually like somebody for everybody. Everybody has like somebody for them. Because it was totally like not at all who I thought I was gonna marry. Like it would be somebody with some sort of like medical or some type of disability, and he doesn't have that at all. And I wouldn't have even why. I think it was because a couple of people who we know had gone to the British Laboratory. And I'm like, why don't I just try it? I probably won't meet somebody, but like, why not? And it was totally like not what I had thought about. Somebody who was not athletic like me. Somebody who was a lot more intelligent. It was just so interesting the way it worked out. And Baruch Hashem really, Hashem knows what he's doing.
You complement each other. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
That's the beauty.
It's so funny because
I love that we ended with that. I love that. Thank you so much, Rosie.
Thank you.
Chaim is showing us some of the important machines that he has in his room.
Yeah.
All right. Can you show us what some of these are?
This is called the breathing machine. It clips on to when I'm sleeping.
Oh wow!
This is a pulse oximeter, or I refer to it to the sensor machine. It like it goes up. I put it on my foot, and then it shows like all my like heart rate and like all the pulse ox and stuff.
Amazing. And I see your teddy bear has something too.
He has a candle, like just like me,
just like you. Thanks for showing that to us.
You're welcome.
The next topic I really wanted to talk with you about was about your sheitel. You're covering your hair, a little bit about that journey and how it coincides with also the epilepsy journey. But I know it was a very personal journey for you. So can you share a little bit about that?
So covering my hair is a long-standing, difficult decision. I didn't cover my hair when I got married. It's something that came to me kind of later in life. I also always felt that I had epilepsy, which was a head disease. And not that Hashem's gonna cure me because I'm covering my hair because it's a head disease. I'm not from that thought. But I do feel like you should take on an extra mitzvah if you are so chronically ill. Mm. And I thought very hard about it this time around. And I decided, after speaking to some rebbeim, I decided that I'm going to try my best to cover my hair this time, to wear sheitels when I can, to wear scarves, also hats, but I am trying to do it as a sign I don't know. Just, I felt that I should be doing it the same way men put on tefillin, the same way men wear a yarmulke. And it does remind me, of who's looking out for me.
Wow. And it's hard to do this mitzvah without all the other experiences around it. So is there something that you would share for someone who's on the fence a little bit about covering hair, or maybe doesn't have their partner support or their parent support? What would you say to someone who's like debating it, wants to do it, but isn't sure?
I would say first, you should speak to a Rav that supports it. And you'll learn that the mitzvah really is on the women's, it's a woman's mitzvah.
Right.
So just like you light candles, and when you're younger, you go to the mikvah, it's a mitzvah for you. There are ways around certain things, like I found out when I'm in the house, I don't have to cover my hair. Even if I have company in the house, I don't have to cover my hair.
Wow.
But I'm 58 years old, and I felt like it was time at 58 to make my own decisions.